One of the areas that is so helpful for people to think about is being content through the holidays. And there is it's a time for depression for some people, for a whole host of reasons. I think, we reflect back on our childhood and how somehow, it seemed magical to Christmas time, and you get older and you carrying around a lot of stress or issues or unresolved conflict or whatever it may be. But people can they can lose their contentment. And as you said earlier, by focusing on Christ, it's become a much happier time for us.
Yes, it has. And I think that there's something really sweet about having simple traditions, whether it's lighting, an Advent wreath, having the same wreath through, passed down even through generations. Just simple things that bring back memories for families.
Thinking about one of our boys and contentment, his personal tradition has always been to make the gifts. And so we kind of get excited about what he's made. He's made cutting boards, he's made wooden spoons, he's made chopping blocks, he's made all kinds of things, and they're usually wrapped with brown paper, and they have some sort of herb or plant on them, and he's written a note in sort of calligraphy, and they're wonderful. And it's simple and inexpensive, but we actually are blessed by the effort that he goes through to, in a way, to avoid the materialism of it. He's not out shopping the mall bringing me a Italian sausage that he got at one of those kiosks.
Yeah.
He's really thought through what would be a blessing to us. And it's a sign that some of the lessons that we've practiced have been passed on to him.
I know another thing that we did for years, we drive through the Fantasy of Lights. That didn't cost us anything where we lived. Or we'd walk through it. We drove through it or walked through it. And then when we moved to Georgia, oh my goodness,
favorites.
Your favorite, yeah.
You didn't like it that much because you don't like those things.
I love the lights.
Well, we drive through this park with all the lights, huge display, and you drive under them and around them, and then you end up with an amusement park, all the rides, and it would be freezing cold, and I'd get out there bundled up with the boys, and we'd ride all the rides,
Ferris wheels,
do the fun, do all that fun stuff, and just great memories. And that was a part of our tradition.
Yes, I think those are important for children, and for couples, just to have that stability through the years, that thing to look forward to or to reflect on.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of our general guidelines for the holidays. One thing we didn't talk about was Santa Claus. I grew up with Santa Claus. Did you grow up with Santa Claus as a part of your? Yeah. And I actually think it has a sweet place in a child's mind. It just allows you to dream and have almost this this sense of, as C.S. Lewis would say, the afterworld, to think, there's something coming to deliver presents to us, and then of course at some point they decide, this is probably not real. And so we talked about kids making lists and turning it into Santa, but when they get to a certain age, we decided just to tell them, okay, that's not true.
Well, our second son came to me and said, "Mom, is Santa real?" He was young, maybe 6 years old. And I looked at him, I thought, okay, I can't lie to you. And I said, "Honey, there was a St. Nicholas, but the way we celebrate Santa is not real. We're the ones who buy you your presents." And he looked at me and his eyes got big and he said, "Really? Wow, that's better than Santa."
Yeah.
So,
and that's true, isn't it? That we're showing love to our children, not some mythical character out there. But I've always thought there were parallels to Christ coming to the earth with gifts that he distributes to us and shows his love for us. I'm not saying there's a Bible lesson here. You can't find Santa in the Bible, but there's a parallel there of reality that God did come to the earth and bring gifts, and we celebrate him. And I think some of the best worship music of the year is always around Christmas, because we can focus our adoration on that miracle of the humble birth that represents salvation.
And Christ was generous with us, not based on our behavior. And some of these, I think it's Elf on the Shelf, some of those things, it's scary for children.
Well, it's like those songs, Have You Been Naughty or Nice? And it's all provisional and conditional.
No, they need to know they're loved regardless.
Well, a couple of general guidelines for me is to think about creating an experience, not just a transaction. If the holidays are transactional, you can get really frustrated. You can have, even as a host, you can get expectations of what you're going to get from serving or from the money you spent or from the gifts you give. But if you think about it as an experience where you're going to serve others, then you set yourself aside, and I think you enjoy it far more.
Mm-hmm. And I think when you're hosting, you can just say, no gifts. No, you don't need to bring gifts. Or, if you've got your group that you do things with, say, hey, we're not going to do gifts this year.
Or draw names.
Keep it simple so there's no stress.
What was our limit last year when we drew names? 20?
This was for our family gifts.
20?
Yeah, $20 limit. We had to get really creative.
Yeah. And it's fun to see what they come up with for $20. Mm-hmm. Second thing I would say is affirm your family and friends and the people you're with on the holiday. Go with the intention to affirm and love others during this time, because when it all boils down to it, it's not the gift that's or the actual thing. It's that a person wants to know they're loved and they're appreciated. They're truly accepted. And I was thinking about my mother, who was so good at that. One of the reasons you miss your mom so much is they love you so well, and they affirm you. And, I showed you the other day all those cards we found that she would say to me over and over and over, I'm proud of you. And she meant that, sometimes for no apparent reason. But those are stored in my heart. It's like a vault of affirmation that I got from particularly Mom, and she never missed an opportunity to make a deposit there.
And we also had lots of fun. Yeah. I'm thinking when I was around your family. And, I think it's healthy to laugh. We have one gift we gave to one of our kids that we rewrap and still put it in his stocking. Yeah, we've done that for years.
A gag gift.
It's awful.
Yeah.
It's an awful video. I mean, not bad, not, when I say bad, it was just
It was
just
poorly done.
Poorly done.
Poor quality. Yeah. And it's a gag, and he laughs every time because he thinks it's going to be a different video.
Yeah, we have to rewrap it in something else to disguise it.
He's going to get it this year.
Yeah.
So create experiences, and then I think it's important to remember that these are spiritual events. Mm-hmm. They all derive from our faith. And if we get too big of a hurry and we let the world kind of define what we're going to do, we miss the essence of what we're there to do. And some of the ways to remember that, like at Thanksgiving, is to sit around the table and ask everybody, what are you thankful for this year? Mm-hmm. Or write a list. Do something where people express gratitude.
This year, I've even thought it'd be sweet if we had a piece of paper for each person set out on a table, and with a name on it, and then write down what we're thankful for or some affirmation for each person there. I thought that'd be sweet.
I think it's very important. It's the time to pause, to get off of the cycle of busyness, and to think about your relationships and to honor the people in your life. And I think at Christmas, to acknowledge where all gifts come from is so important.
Right.
To read the Word, to say a prayer, to give praise. We wrote prayers of blessing. The Jewish families do that every week.
Every week,
They
yes.
pray blessing over their children and family. And I think it's the time to gather them together and to remember that.
I think it's very important that husbands and wives communicate. I mean, it's a big deal, so that a wife isn't so she's not expecting something, or he's not expecting something, or they don't feel the pressure to buy. Because I mean, how many years we haven't bought each other gifts every year? You know, some years we say, "Hey, we don't need anything."
No gifts this year.
Yeah.
Or we buy something like in July and say, "This is Christmas, anniversary, New Year's, birthday,
Yeah.
all in one," right?
Mm-hmm.
And it sort of covers everything for the next 12 months in our budget.
Right.
And we're happy with that. But then we'll have to remember at Christmas, and don't forget, you know, we did that in July, and also just making a card that you share with people. I've spent time through the years making a card for you, or the kids have made them for me, or you've made them for me. I still save those. You know,
Well,
I'm sentimental.
We just went through and cleaned out a closet full of things, but we could not get rid of the letters from the children.
No, I couldn't throw
the
them away.
drawings. Oh,
Oh, and
we've
one
got-
more thing, a tradition, Ann, general idea. I'm sorry I stepped on your thought there, but we've saved all those treasures from the kids. But we've had a family photo.
oh
over
gosh,
holidays.
that's a big deal. Yeah.
Hire a
And we
photographer.
do spend money on that because we
Well-
want good pictures.
You know, you don't realize how quickly your life is moving,
Mm-hmm.
but when you get them all together, we like hiring a photographer and putting together the simple coffee table book, because not everybody wants to hang the picture on the wall, but just, you know, send them off to one of those services for $25. They come back and you give it to your kids, and we've all got that as a treasure to remember those special moments.
Yes, and I wish we'd done that from the get-go, but we've been doing it every other year for 6, 7, 8 years.
Yeah, and very happy to do that.
Yeah.
Well, Ann, thank you. I've enjoyed talking to you about this. I hope we've helped people to survive the holidays and not get under a lot of stress and financial pressure.